Listen, man, I don't know who need to hear this, but apparently a lot of people still don't understand what's going on in the economy. A lot of people still don't understand, the trajectory America is on. And a lot of people don't understand that they need to be moving a lot differently than they were in the past, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Listen, a lot of Americans are finding it very, very difficult to find a job. So much so that many people are giving up, man. Yep. Many people are giving up finding a job. And then you have all of these ghost listings. You have all of these fake jobs, right? Companies are posting jobs and they really are not trying to hire anybody. Or if you do apply and get a little foot in the door, right, they're taking a long time to get back to you. Or you go through 3 rounds and they just say, hey, you know what, we found somebody else, or maybe you're not a good fit for us, man. It's so much going on, but here's what y'all need to know, right? Here's what y'all need to know. This is what y'all need to understand, right? We're trending towards a economy. We're trending towards a way of life where many people are not going to have jobs. Many people are not going to have careers. And all of this is being done on purpose. And let me also tell you something, right? In a sense, in a way, they're trying to bring out the entrepreneurship in people. Right? This is why I frown when people say, well, entrepreneurship is not for me. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody, man. Some people, so you're essentially saying that you're okay with being a slave, a indentured servant to another man or another woman or somebody or a company, an entity that doesn't have your best interest in mind. This is what you're basically saying. Right? Which I totally disagree. I believe that every single individual has something to give, right? I believe every single individual has, something that's different about themselves that maybe this person doesn't have, this man or this woman doesn't have. But many of you have been so brainwashed and consumed with somebody feeding you, right? You are consumed with somebody else feeding you. You're consumed with somebody else. Here's your plate, little guy. Here's your plate, little gal, right? Y'all have been so consumed with somebody else giving you your food, giving you your money, and you not having to do anything, that when it really comes down to push come to shove, right? Everybody's all, flabbergasted when there's no jobs. Listen, this is the route that we're going, right? When you mix in AI, right, a lot of high skilled jobs are going to disappear. So those jobs that many people were, counting on through schooling and high skills, right, that high income, a lot of that is not even going to be there anymore, right? So much of what's going to be left for the meantime is going to be a lot of low skilled, laborious jobs. That's why many people keep saying, well, blue collar is going to be here. Blue collar is going to be that. Yeah, blue collar is going to be there for the meantime until Tesla dropped their iRobot and everybody else, Microsoft and Google dropped their iRobot, right? Who can already go down in get up in the ceiling, get down in the basement, right? There's already a robot, a humanoid called, what's it called? I believe it's called Neo, right? So they already have this stuff on order. People are ordering this stuff already. So they already have prototypes. They already have this technology out here, right? And it can cook, clean, sweep, mop. So it's just a matter of time before it's able to pick up a screwdriver, which I'm betting that it probably can already do this already, right? Before it can pick up a screwdriver, before it can, fix the ceiling and get up there and put cement together and all of that stuff. It's just a matter of time. So we're treaded in a direction where it's every man and woman for themselves. There won't be any more traditional jobs. And let me go ahead and read this to you guys right here, because this is a report, that has come out. So Americans are giving up looking for jobs, right? The June job report has some eyebrow raising data, especially the big drop in the labor force, right? Listen, according to recent labor force data, roughly 1.83 million workers were classified as marginally attached to the labor force in June, including about 500,000 discouraged workers who said they have stopped looking because they believe no jobs were available for them. A key concern is the rising number of Americans who have stopped actively searching for work and therefore are no longer counted as unemployed. So when the government gives you the unemployment rate, it is not the real unemployment rate. I want y'all to understand the predicament that we're in, right? The unemployment rate that they're giving y'all is not the real and not the true unemployment rate. It's much bigger than what it is, right? Because they stopped counting people who stopped looking. So if you were looking for a job and you stopped looking after a certain amount of time, guess what? They no longer count you as being in that statistics. That means that you have a lot of men, especially a lot of men who are not in the workforce. You have a lot of women who are also not in the workforce, right? And they're counting. And the data is all screwed up, right? So, and it's already, if you see my post the other day, 1 in 3 men, 1 in 3 American men are not in the workforce, not looking for a job, not in school, not in training, so on and so forth. Why? What is out there? I'll wait. What is out there today? Many young people are still being trained on the old way of doing things, right? This is why I'm teaching AI, right? This is why I'm teaching AI development. This is why I'm teaching how to, build your AI websites. Hit that link in the description, come over to the Patreon. And if you want to know more information, book a coaching call with me and I'll lead you in the right direction. You can book a call with me, book a consultation with me for 1 hour and I'll show you what you need to do. That's why I'm teaching these things. This is why I'm building, mindset over on the Patreon, because we're entering into a new world, a new place that's going to require something different of people, right? A lot of young people are still being taught the old way of doing things, right? The old way of doing things is null and void. Why you think we got so much, turmoil and chaos right now, right? What is going on is the new world is trying to come in and the old world is kind of like pushing back. And then while these two time periods, right, are fighting each other, these two entities are fighting each other, it's creating all this chaos, it's creating all this confusion, right? It's creating all this violence, it's creating all of this division, because you have this time period trying to compete and this time period trying to compete, and they're trying to compete for, the entirety of it, right? But we already know which one is going to win, which is the new world, right? But until the new world is fully immersed, there's going to be this period in time where it's nothing but chaos, nothing but confusion, nothing but explosiveness, nothing but a bunch of craziness going on, right? And I'll be the first to tell you, you probably got about, I would say probably another 3 years, right? And things are speeding up, right? 3 years ain't the same 3 years anymore, right? 5 years is not the same 5 years anymore, right? You got a lot of people still sitting around I've seen people still submitting resumes, right? A lot of people are still sitting around submitting resumes. I've seen people go up to jobs. I've seen people go up to jobs with paper resumes. I'm like, oh my God. I'm 30 years old, right? I'm 30 years old. I haven't went up to a job with a paper resume and since I was probably like 18, 19 years old, right? And that was probably what job was that? I think I was applying for Pizza Hut, Ninja. I think I was applying for Pizza Hut as a Pizza Hut driver, delivery driver, Ninja, right? That's the last time I took a resume, right, to a job. Listen, man, and just the other day, right, right before I quit, a dude had pulled up on me, right, and was trying to, how do I apply? How do I apply to the job? And I'm like, first of all, the dude had to be like 40, 50 years old, right? And I'm like, bruh, like in 2026, why are we still asking, how do I apply? Right? 90% of these jobs, one, they have a website that you can go on and apply and do all of, what you need to do. But Nowadays, everything works off of, connections. Everything works off of who you know, right? There's been a few jobs that I've gotten that I would just push through, right? Just based off of who I knew, right? And that's another part of it too. These are the main things that are going to matter, right? One is going to be connections. Two is going to be how fast you can gather knowledge and wisdom and then execute on that, right? Y'all got to understand, knowledge is not the same anymore. Wisdom is not the same anymore. Well, wisdom is kind of, come with life experience and knowledge. But however, let's just say information and knowledge is not the same anymore. You can get it for cheap. You can get it for $15. You can get all the knowledge in the world, everything that you can think of with a $15 subscription, right? You could damn near diagnose yourself with a $15 subscription, right? The world is not the same anymore. But people are so, in tune with comfort. People are so in tune with the old way of doing things. This is why I always say there's going to be so many people who get left behind, not because they just going to get left behind. It's just because people are not willing to put in the work. People are not willing to study. And I believe, man, all of this information, all of this knowledge at our fingertips have made a lot of people dumb. Man, I believe all of this knowledge and all of this wisdom at our fingertips have made a lot of people dumb, right? Because to some extent, since it's so available, I feel like people don't actually do any research anymore. People don't do any studying anymore. People don't do their due diligence anymore, right? It's just like, well, I got access to Google, right? People, you literally have access to Google and people will ask you like dumb questions, right? Or people will say, well, I don't know this, I don't know that, right? I don't understand how people don't know certain things nowadays. I understand, gaps in knowledge that you got to do more research on, but just basic things, right? People they're walking around willy-nilly, right? And it just, listen, man, I'm just a messenger. Listen, if you really want to make it in a new world, you might as well go ahead and let these jobs go. Right? Listen, I jumped the gun on mine. I quit my job a few weeks ago. Right? I already know what's coming. I already know what I need to do. Listen, I'd rather deal with myself. I'd rather deal with the stresses of trying to get my business out there. I'd rather deal with the stresses of, being an entrepreneur. I'd rather deal with those stresses than to ever deal with a 9-to-5 again. There's no way that I can go back. Right? Burn all the ships. Burn all the ships. If you're really about it, burn all the ships. You have to dig in. You have to dig deep because the government is not going to save you, right? The current economy is not going to save you. You're going to have to produce your own economy. That is the world we're living in. You're going to have to produce your own economy. There is no more safety nets. There is no more, well, we're going to create this amount of jobs. No, that's donezo. They're not creating jobs for nobody. Right? All they're trying to do is hit that bottom line. How much money can we make? And then how much money can we make? Okay, how much of that money can we make without other people being involved so we can cash in and take all the money so we can, go ahead and buy these super yachts and sell them and race them in Monaco. Right? That's what they're thinking. Right? They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about me. And that's the same way that you should be, moving. The only people that you should be thinking about is your loved ones. Right? And I'm not saying, and I'm not saying being a despicable human being to other people, but what I am saying is every man eats, right? Every man for themselves. Right? You're gonna have to kill what you eat. Right? And once all of these safety nets, because you got a lot of young people, they're still relying on parents. Right? They're still living with grandparents. They're, relying on the boomers and all of that. They waiting on their boomer parents to die. Listen, all hell is going to hit the fan. All shit is going to hit the fan when boomers die off and Gen X die off. Right? We're going to really see. Y'all think it's crazy now. Right? Y'all think it's crazy now, but we're really going to see a lot of craziness, especially when the boomers start to die off and Gen X, more of them die off and they got to go to the old folks home, right? Because you got people, young people, upwards to 40, 45 years old. So older millennials, upwards to 40, 45 years old who are moving back home with parents who can't afford to rent, can't afford to put down on a house, right? They can't do any of that. And then on top of that, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, right? Because you can't rely on one income. One income is basically you're impoverished unless you're making 150 plus, right? Unless you're making 150 plus from a singular job, then yeah, you gotta have multiple hustles. You gotta have multiple jobs. You gotta work the day shift and you gotta work the night shift. Or if you got one job, like you gotta work multiple shifts. You gotta work doubles, right? You gotta work that OT time. Listen, man, we're in crazy times right now. We're in crazy times, but for those of you who understand what's going on and who want to stay ahead, listen, what's going to happen is you're going to have to get in tune with the AI. You're going to have to move Speedy Gonzalez faster than everybody else, right? In today's time, this time period that we're in is going to be about execution. Who can execute the fastest? Right? It's not going to be about what you know per se. It's not going to be about the things that you know. It's not going to be about the information and knowledge. It's going to be about who can execute on that knowledge and that information faster than everybody else, right? And execute on the things that they say they're going to execute on, right? If you want more of this knowledge, if you want more of this information, right? If you want me to guide you in the direction that you need to go and you want more information on how to build your own sovereign life, listen, hit that link in the description. Come book a coaching call with me. Come through the Patreon, right? Come join the inner circle as well, right? The members are growing. The movement is growing. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos talking about this kind of mindset, talking about AI, talking about the apps that I'm actively building right now, right? So, and we're also having our first networking event in Cartagena, Colombia at the end of the year. So make sure you come over there if you want to be a part of something great. Listen, the after pill is the ideology. The escape blueprint is the framework, and PFP life is how you should live, and purpose, and freedom, and in power. I see you guys on the Patreon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. I built a life. I built a family. I worked my hands raw to get here, and I'm not done. This is the escape blueprint, PFP life, a way out of the grind and into control. You'll learn how I stack cash, build systems, and reclaim time so you can live on your own terms. You will watch me maneuver and grind towards the life that I achieve for myself, and you can also do the same. Join the circle, join the Patreon, learn the steps, and protect your freedom. The escape blueprint, PFP life.